One reason for which I am so much against atheism is that atheists, that is modern atheists, they want to rewrite science in order to match their worldview. And one of the things that we are talking here is a complete rewriting of history. And what is the most sad is that we are talking here about people who are not historians, but they are doing everything they can to promote ideas such as all wars have religious causes, or that the Dark Age was brought by Christianity, and so on. What is the most sad is that sooner or later the atheist is going to realize that he promotes some erroneous ideas, but in the most cases he will continue to promote those ideas because those ideas help his cause, and that is to demonize religion. In this video I have chosen an example, and we are going to analyze it. We are going to observe how the modern atheists want to change the external reality in order to promote their atheism. We are talking here of a group of atheists which are extremely disappointed of what reality has to offer them to fight against religion, and they consciously or unconsciously start to build their own reality. For some time now, the atheist community is massacring a field of science who has to do with the study of religion, religious ideas, mythology, in order to promote their zeitgeist Christ conspiracy theories. The video analyzed here comes from the user eproulx and is called Disproving God by Deception, that is by just lying to everyone. And first we are going to analyze the Christ Prometheus fake analogy. My discussion with eproulx started when I saw in his video around the minute 5 the concept of a dead Prometheus. For those of you who do not know, Prometheus was an immortal, so he could not die. But we have this concept in biology relating to the cutting of a very important tree in 1964. Now we are going to see the answer of eproulx, who doesn't know what the hell I am talking about. It's not all about biology, there are various subjects that have evidence to disprove God, so we can prove a negative.
Jeff's story is copied on previous mythology, so his legend is just as false as those previous myths. Prometheus was the son of a god. 2 saved mankind. 3 had a fisherman disciple named Peter. 4 was betrayed. 5 was sacrificed similar to crucifixion. 6 was named the Word, and a number of other similarities.
Now I'm not even going to go on the genetic fallacy here, and I'm going to analyze just the claims made.
Prometheus was 1. The son of a god.
Now Prometheus was not a god, and he was not the son of a god. He was a titan, and the son of a titan Yaped. His mother, according to most sources, was the titaness Clemene or Asia. Just to clean all the confusion, she was not a mortal woman, and she was not a virgin.
2 saved mankind.
First, Prometheus did not save mankind. Again, according to most sources, he was the one who created the mankind, together with the goddess Athena. Secondly, Prometheus did not save nobody's soul, he just gave humanity fire and various knowledges such as how to make metals or astronomy. Now I want to be the first to recognize that there are some similarities between Prometheus and Lucifer, but let's don't forget that similarity does not imply causality.
3 had a fisherman disciple named Peter.
When I was little, among the stories read to me, there were the Greek myths, the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Aeneid, and after I saw this video, I did go right back to the ancient literature, but sorry, I did not find this Peter character. Okay, now just to make things straight, Prometheus did not have 12 disciples, did not change water into wine, and it did not rise people from the dead.
4 was betrayed.
By who? Prometheus was kinda lonely guy.
5 was sacrificed similar to crucifixion.
Are we still talking here about Prometheus? You know, the Titan who was enchained on a mountain top and had the eagle eat his liver every day for 15 generations?
6 was named the Word and a number of other similarities.
Now we know as a fact that he was not called the Word because he already had a name, and that was the one who thinks ahead, and that is because he could see the future. Let's observe other non-similarities. Prometheus was a giant, as most titans were. He was not all-powerful, and he had no message for humanity. The author of this video is referring to a Greek tragedy called Prometheus Bound, in which Prometheus is depicted as a sad, tragicomic character. We must understand that the ancients had a different mentality than us, so the arrogance of Prometheus against the gods, even if he is bound to the rock, is not seen as bravery, but as foolish madness. Instead of trying to make peace with Zeus, Prometheus defies Zeus even from the rock. Between Christ, who is praying for those who persecute him, and the arrogance of Prometheus, who is wishing the gods the same honors as he, there is no correlation to be made. Now, because I am on YouTube fighting atheists for almost 2 years, I already know what to expect from them. So when I said that similarity does not imply causality, probably most atheists, they rose on eyebrow and asked, "What do you mean?" And this is my answer. The fact that there are similarities between the pyramids of Egypt, Mexico, the ziggurats from Iraq and Iran, and the pyramid structure from China doesn't tell anything to the historian community. And of course, until new discoveries are made, we cannot rely solely on a conspiracy theory. Now let's analyze the evolution of the Christ-Prometheus fake analogy myth. Now Prometheus has generally been depicted with his hands on his back tied to a Greek column. Another representation is with him sitting on some kind of chair or a rock. We don't have to forget that Prometheus was a giant, so probably the ancients imagined him as sitting on the mountain top as on a chair. We have to remember that in this story there is also an eagle who is eating Prometheus' immortal liver every single day. So from where we have this impossible analogy is very simple, from the madness of some people who they want to create a conspiracy where there is none. So because these people they were unhappy with what ancient mythology has to offer them, they end up faking the ancient mythology to match their goals. However, if similarity does imply causation, then we could say that Hitler, Napoleon, Caesar were all myths made after Alexander Macedon. And now, before we go to my next refutation, I want to show you just what is the relationship between Zeus and Prometheus. And I am doing this because when I made this video, I found out that atheists they put out there on the internet the information that Prometheus was the son of Zeus sent by his father to sacrifice himself for humanity. There is Zeus on the genealogy of Greek gods. And there is his cousin Prometheus. Now the second false analogy that we're going to analyze today is between the religion of Pharaoh Akhenaton and the religion of Jesus of Nazareth. Now, usually the atheists are going to state that the Akhenaton religion was a monotheistic religion, that was the first monotheistic religion, and therefore all other monotheistic religions, especially Christianity, Judaism and Islam, are inspired from it. If atheists are implying that we have no monotheistic religion before Akhenaton, then atheists have to prove this. There are some things we must understand. For example, that the cult of Aton was not an invention of Akhenaton, that this religion was not a monotheistic religion because the pharaoh was also venerated as a god, and that the cult of Aton never became a true religion, a true mass religion, because it was limited to the pharaoh family and to the upper aristocracy. Now you're going to see a conversation between myself and eproulx. The quotations are belonging to eproulx, to which I am answering.
Try the Gospels. The history of these writings originated 7 years after events. Quote, you accept Prometheus's sacrifice story, which is similar to Jesus's crucifixion. There is no similarity. There is no sacrifice in Prometheus. He was punished, not sacrificed, there was no death, no resurrection, no cross.
And now the answer of eproulx, in which he makes a great error.
eproulx. According to Stephen Harris, Understanding the Bible, the earliest gospel at least 65 AD. Others place it even later. Your 7 years is crap from extremely old research. Moreover, you can't even name the authors of the gospels. And you find Aeschylus controversial. That's hypocritical.
And here is where eproulx is making a fatal error, and that is to confuse the date in which an idea is mentioned for the first time with the date in which that idea was developed. If we do confuse, however, the date when an idea is born with the date when that idea is published for the first time, that will result in the German nation never having folk tales and fairy tales before the years 1812 to 1822, when the Grimm brothers put those stories on paper for the first time. Would also mean that we are not allowed to mention Alexander the Great before the years when he appears in the works of Diodorus Siculus, Junianus, Quintus Curtius Rufus, Flavius Arrianus, or Plutarch. What we have to remember here is never to confuse the date when an idea is mentioned for the first time with the origins of that idea.
The oldest manuscripts of Paul's letters are stored in a beautiful museum in the gardens of Dublin Castle. And it's here we find our quotation.
In this glass frame is the earliest example of Christian oral tradition. Here the Apostle Paul reminds the Corinthians of a fixed summary of the Christian faith which he passed on to them years earlier and which he himself had received shortly after his conversion.
Mainstream scholars date this summary to within months of Jesus' death.
Hoti Christos apethenen huper ton hamation hemon katatas graphas. That Christ died for our sins in accordance with the scriptures. Kai hoti etaphe, and that he was buried. Kai hoti egergatai te hemera te trite katatas graphas, and that he was raised on the third day in accordance with the scriptures. Kai hoti ophthir kefa eta tois dodeca, and that he appeared to Peter and then to the 12.
These words were in common Christian usage before the year 35.
Whatever else we may want to say about the basic plot of Jesus' life, it clearly wasn't a legend growing up over time.
This fixed summary, or creed, provides evidence that the broad narrative of Jesus' death, burial, resurrection and appearances was being taught and memorised decades before the details were written up in the Gospels.
And now, another evidence of eproulx deception, the misinterpretation of scriptures.
4. An all-knowing God. The evidence for God not being omniscient is threefold. First, he asks questions. If he knew the answer, he wouldn't need to ask them.
Now, of course, here we have a logical fallacy. I mean, when you put a question and you also give an answer.
If he knew the answer, he wouldn't need to ask them.
Now, in response to this, I'm going to bring the testimony of a Romanian pastor of Jewish origin who has passed to the communist gulag, the pastor Richard Wurmbrand, and I'm going to pray that eproulx will understand.
4. An all-knowing God. The evidence for God not being omniscient is threefold. First, he asks questions. If he knew the answer, he wouldn't need to ask them.
And years passed like this. One year after another, I became very, very tired. And one night I said to our Lord, Lord, you see, I have no brethren, no sisters. I don't have your written word. I don't have Holy Communion. I have none of these things. But you have spoken so often directly to persons, even to very evil persons, like Saul of Tarsus, who had been a persecutor and a killer of Christians, and you came and spoke with him. And as I have nobody to speak to me, would you speak to me tonight? And then it were exceptional circumstances. And in exceptional circumstances, exceptional things happen. And when I said, you, Lord, speak to me, I heard his voice. Now I expected from him a word of comfort, a word which should strengthen me in my faith. Instead of this, I heard very strange words. He put to me a question. What is your name? Now I believe that Jesus is God, and surely God should know at least what my name is. It's very strange for a God to ask somebody what is his name. But he has put such strange questions before. He asked Adam, Adam, where are you? Well, if he is God, he should know where Adam is. He put this question to Adam not because he did not know, but to make Adam think, am I not in the wrong place, hidden in a bush, hiding myself from my Creator, before whose eyes nobody can hide himself? And so the Lord put to me the strange question, what is your name? Now I had known all my life that my name is Richard. But in that moment I could not reply to Jesus, my name is Richard, because I happened to have read in church history that in Britain there was once a big saint with the name of Richard, who, because of his faith, has been sentenced to death, and I have the same name as that saint. And I fear to say to Jesus, my name is Richard, because I trembled about something else. What if I say, my name is Richard, and he says, are you like that, Richard? I was not like that, Richard. So I could not say that I am Richard. Should I say I am a Christian, I fear to say it, because I knew that in the first centuries, under the Roman persecution, Christians entered into the arena of circuses to be devoured by wild beasts for their faith, and I was not as courageous as those Christians. Should I say I am a pastor, I did not dare, because I knew that a pastor has to watch day and night over his flock, and I have not been like this. He had asked me, what is your name? I bowed before him and said, Jesus, I have no name. Allow me to bear your name. And that is what he really wishes from us. Paul understood it. Not I live. Not the old Paul, not a new Paul. Not the wicked Paul who has been a murderer, not the new Paul who is an apostle. Not the wicked and full of vices, not the very good and full of virtues. The I has been abolished. Not I live, but Christ lives in me.